What happened to us? Yeah. Did she see? I know it's like so easy.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3.
Yes.
My train's down. Came with 3 of them.
Not so young anymore.
Yeah, we can bring one more chair. I literally have much more than a coat.
No, I'll take care of it. Do you think move that back a little bit?
Yeah, we need one more chair.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Michael's celebration of life. At this time, we will begin his services with Pastor. Oh, that's. Michael wanted it heard out right to the beginning, right to the end, I should say. Pastor Charlie from Holy Spirit Community Church will join us.
As you all walked around here and you saw all the artifacts, they want to say that they're antiques, but they're not, because I used to have those things when I was younger, and I'm not that old. This thing's got a lot of feedback on it. February 5th, 2016. That's the last time I stood before the Miller family. They all came together to celebrate and honor a very special woman. And today, January 22nd, 2022, again we come together, but this time to honor and celebrate a pretty special guy. One of the things that I do when I'm sitting with the family, I say, describe your loved one, but you can only use one word. So right away they said, well, that's impossible, that's too hard. And then for the next 15 minutes kept firing one word at me constantly over and over. But the best part of that was the stories that they were sharing with each one of those words. Sitting in Michelle and Adam's living room, there was a lot of laughter with the stories. There was also tears with those stories. And I think that each of you could come up with your own word that would best describe Michael with your relationship. But here's some of the words they used. Kind, gentle, generous, quiet, silly, happy, determined, devoted, protective, and above all, family-orientated. But I also learned that he was stubborn. And to my chagrin, I've been spelling stubborn wrong my entire life. Tanya corrected me, and for the record, stubborn is spelled M-I-L-L-E-R. Just saying. For all of you who know Michael, you know that he marched to his own drum, and you learned, don't mess with his traditions. As I was writing this, I went back and I looked at his obituary, and it was seen by almost 1,600 people, and today it was well over 1,700. All of us measure success differently. Some look at how much money one has, how big a house they live in, or how fancy the car they drive. And to tell you the truth, I believe all of them would be wrong doing that way. See, money gets spent, houses get sold, and cars don't last. Success is measured by what you leave behind with respect to all the memories that you've given others. It's about the legacy that you leave. People who haven't talked to Mike in years reached out to share with his family who he was to them. There are stories that they've never heard, moments that they never knew about. How do you make an assessment of someone that you've only met twice? It happens by how you treat that someone. And Lisa would tell you that he made an impression on her that will last forever. Is Lisa here? Is she here? There she is. She don't want to put her arms up too much. Something that we seldom think about is the person that we love at their job. After all, work is work. It's what we do, like it or not. We can go to work, we can come home, and we can never make a difference. Not true for Mike. I want to read something that was on the obituary and the condolences. It's pretty small print, so bear with me. The man with the heart of gold. I've known Mikey for almost 3 years from work at AAR Corporation. He was and still is my lead at work. Let me just put it this way. This man had and still has a heart of gold. He was always introducing new ideas and methods at work, almost MacGyver-like, to make your work easier and more efficient. He always had something funny to share as well. So Mikey really would be the person to lighten up the mood at work. None of us really like to have to go to work. I know Mike didn't like it that much either, but he made the best of it, even when he was in a crappy mood, like all of us have some days. He was always there, always put in the effort to shrug it off for the sake of others around him. Mike was also really the backbone of creating a small family atmosphere in our department. I really appreciated that. It made our department what it is today, a close-knit of friends, not just co-workers. It's just these things I talk about that can only come from a person with a heart of gold. When my mom passed away last spring of 2021, Mike was really, really there for me, almost like a second dad, which helped me greatly through my time of grief. If it wasn't for him, I remember when he grabbed me and he hugged me while I cried my eyes out because I was still in so much pain from my mom passing. He told me to let it out while he held me. And after he looked me in the eyes and he said, "I could see it in your eyes. You needed a big hug, Mo." I probably wouldn't be who I am today in many ways because of him. I've always respected Mike, always looked up to him as an elder that had wisdom and knowledge that was very sound and valuable. So I always listened when he spoke, and I've learned so much from him. In one way, I'm upset that I can no longer be around him. But then again, Mikey deserves a better place than earth, and now he has it. It's always hard to realize when we no longer see each other during this lifetime, but we must remember, it's just a short time, and one day we'll be back together. Not in our earthly bodies that ache and hurt, nor the troubles of this world, but we'll be together in our new bodies, in a place called heaven, with our Creator at a place that has no pain and suffering nor any sin, but only goodness and freedom that's inconceivable to us right now. Not the kind of freedom we know here on earth, but one that will blow our minds, that is on the scale of the universe. God has promised us all this. So when I tell myself this, it's not hard to handle anymore. Mikey is better off than any of us now, that's for sure. In fact, I'm sort of jealous, actually. Experience all the glory and freedom right now with our Creator. That blows my mind and gives me a feeling of happiness. I love you, Mikey. Until we meet again, my friend, Moses Lawrence. That's how you measure success. That's how you do it. Now, having just read this, having some of you teared up, Mike had his moments. He was quick to temper, at least with Adam. But he was also quick to forget and forgive, but not so much with Adam. That's not really, they worked really well together once they quit arguing. But one of the things that everybody knows about Michael is that once his mind's made up, that's it. It's that whole thing about him marching to his own beat, doing his own way. And as the family was talking to me the other day, I wrote down something, and at the end of our visit, they said, "There's this song that I think we should play." And I looked at Michelle and I said, "I've already written it down." So if anyone here doesn't know this song, it's because you were born this morning. I think you'll understand it, and you'll appreciate it, and you'll say, "Yeah, that's my guy." One of the verses says, "I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway. And much more than this, I did it my way." I do not know the Miller family as much as I'd like to, because I think they'd probably party pretty hard. But I do know them that they're a very tight group and that they care for each other. So when we hear those words, "I've lived a life that's full," it's true. So many will say that 58 years was way too young to die, and I don't disagree. But I would urge all of you not to think about the death, but of the life. What do those 58 years mean to you? What memories have been given to you? One of the questions that I asked the family was to tell me about Michael's faith. Now, something that I didn't know was that he kept telling the family that they should go to the church that I pastor. And hearing that really made me smile. It really did. They never made it, and that's okay. But just knowing that it was something he wanted to do really means a lot to me. Michelle told me that Michael was conflicted. Man, we have all been there at some time in our lives, and maybe some of you are there right now. But I do not believe Michael left this world in doubt. A man who gives so much of himself away truly needs to know that he matters. See, I believe that there was a moment when God and Michael talked. Okay, you hate to be that person right now, don't you? We're just going to let you silence it and we'll go on. It's okay. We okay now?
Good to go.
All right. See, I believe that God and Michael did have a moment. I think Michael was reminded of how much he was loved, how special and how precious he was to God. See, what's really special and unique about God is he always shows up at the exact right, perfect moment. Sunday night, Monday morning, God was there. And no doubt there was a conversation between them. And I think one day that we'll truly know the outcome of that conversation. And that day will be filled with joy. Until that day, you've all been gifted with memories, and they are with you always and any time you want them. So remember the $1,000 couch, because now it's even more special than it ever was. Necklaces of pearl or wall hangings. Remember the man who would help without hesitation. Remember the man who would get frustrated when you would not respond to his thumbs up emojis. Remember the man getting a battery or offering to you anything that he had. Remember the man who wasn't happy when you didn't leave him a spot in the driveway. Remember the man who has taught you some incredible, important lessons. Keep the cooler closed. Don't leave the pizza box open. And put the food away. After all, there's mayonnaise in it. And maybe the most important lesson that you have all been taught is to not write on boxes. Use Post-it notes.
Oh. I need you because I'm a violator.
February 5th, 2016, I shared a scripture with you that I'd like to share with you once again. It comes from Jesus out of John 14, and this is what he said. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms, and if it were not so, would I have told you that I go and prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and take you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. I know that heaven tells us that there is no more pain, no more sorrow, no more hurts. There's only joy, peace, grace, and this abundant love that fills the heavens. And while I can't prove this to you, I'd like heaven to be just a little bit like this for Michael. His first breath in the kingdom, it's with Jesus. He sees family members who have gone long before him. Then there's Sandra and his parents, all bringing joy with them. And this room that Jesus has prepared for Michael, maybe, just maybe, it's filled with all these incredibly cool collectibles. And now he truly understands the end game. We've got some folks that want to come up and share, and I'd like to invite Taylor from work to come up first.
Hey guys, so a lot of you guys don't really know me, but I was Mike's boss at AAR. First of all, I would like to extend my condolences to Michelle, and I appreciate the, keeping me updated throughout the whole process. It means a lot to me. Means a lot to my team as well. This is a pretty difficult time for the AAR family as well, as I'm sure you're very well aware. He was a big part of the startup with AAR when we initially opened our doors. You could still pretty much smell the paint on the walls at AAR, and he was the first man there. And with his leadership and interaction with our team on a daily basis, he was always positive, and he made our lives and our jobs pleasant and easier every day. He was the type of person that was always there to help, no matter the task at hand. He was a leader, a mentor, and a friend to many of his colleagues. He was always on time to work, unless he hit a deer with his PT Cruiser. Then he was a little late. I excuse that though. So I think he only went through 3 PT Cruisers. Oh my God, he loved those PT Cruisers though. He even had a little PT Cruiser on his desk. So Mike's favorite quote was, "Read all the words," and maybe that was at Midwest too. But anytime our receivers messed up parts, which was often, the only reason I knew it was often because I heard him say, "Read all the words." So we kept him pretty busy. He had such a great sense of humor. I tell you guys, like he would come into my office, he'd sit down 5, 10, 15 minutes in the morning, and we would just talk about the dogs and how how happy he was to have them. Just endless conversations, and he had a heck of a sense of humor too to go with that. He will be truly missed. As we know, he's in a better place. His memory and spirit will always be with us. Sorry. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
2011.
All right, I really didn't think I was going to be able to do this, but I got my sidekick here, just in case. So, first I want to start by thanking everyone for joining us to celebrate the life of one of the best big brothers. I just kind of wanted to share some of the memories that I've had. Some of my best memories are with Michael, and he was there with me. As a young age, he got me into old cars, taught me how to identify certain models, and it's something that, I still to this day, we know what's driving around, and I always point out to Aubrey because she loves old cars, and he's the one who kind of taught me that. He used to drive me around in his Plymouth Satellite, always kind of trying to get me lost, and then he'd take me somewhere special. And it was just something that I always had. I could still remember it to this day. He took me down to like the old Third Ward and took me into this old antique shop, and it was just such a great memory that I can still remember today. He always took me to movies, car shows, swap meets, cool places around the city that were new to me. He took me to see Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and we'd attend any Republican rallies that were out around town. We spent many a nights at County Stadium for the filming of Major League. We both have a brief cameo in there, so I'm a little famous. Very little, but we were there. He took me to my first ever road trip to Hershey, Pennsylvania to swap for car parts and whatnot, and went to the Hershey plant. And I mean, there's just all these memories that I could still remember to this day from that fun time. He took me to get my driver's license and actually yelled at me on the way there because I ran a red light going through Cudahy. He took care of me the first time. I might have got a little drunk. I don't remember, but he did. He was there when both my kids were born. It always spoiled the run. We traveled to New Hampshire to pick up a VW bug that I bought, and it took us 3 days, 45 miles an hour, driving the whole thing back, white knuckle in it. And I can still remember we got through Chicago and pulled into Highway 50, and he got out and kissed the ground because he was so scared. I couldn't even open my hands because they were so locked in. But it was a great trip. There are so many memories that I'll always cherish. He was always there for me, and obviously for all of you. Just a great man and a great big brother anyone could ever ask for. I'm going to miss him so much. I love you, Mikey. Go, Brandon.
Holy crap. I can't believe how much love and support is in this room right now. And I cannot begin this without thanking everyone who's helped us through this hell week. And for everyone who just is here right now. I felt it necessary to prepare this, maybe not so much for all of you, but for myself, for my own sanity, which I may regret in a few moments. My Uncle Mike showed me love since before I can even remember, whether it was taking me on a spontaneous trip to New York City when I was itty-bitty, picking off sausage on a frozen pizza in a bar when I was a little too drunk on my 21st because they didn't have anything vegetarian there for me to eat. Going back and getting me that thing at the vintage store that I couldn't afford, but I had to have it. I feel like I can never even begin to repay him for what those memories mean to me. But I could stand up here for hours and hours, and days on end, telling stories of him that have been flashing through my mind the past few days. But I think I'm done now. I'm not going to do that. Rather, I just feel the need to express out into the world and to you all the excruciating heartache within me that I have to face a world without Mike in it. My eyes are blurry. He was like a father to me, a friend, an antiquing partner, one of my biggest supporters. And although I curse the damn world for taking him from us, I am so infinitely lucky for the time I had with him. My life will be forever imprinted with his unconditional love his stubbornness and his wicked vintage eye. Thank you all again for being here, whether it's to honor Mike, being there for someone you love, or for yourself, or maybe all of the above. After all, funerals are just as much for the living as the lost.
Okay, I don't really know where to start. My Uncle Mikey made me smile every day. If it wasn't from a picture of Murphy and Rizzo, it was a simple text telling me to have a good day at school. Just his presence was enough to make you smile. People talk about how much of a compassionate person he really was, and they aren't lying when they say it. I really don't know where I would be if I didn't have him to look up to every day. I would change anything to be just as devoted and hardworking as he was. To Mike, it was second nature. He would drop everything and pick me up from work if I needed, or bring me home my favorite foods when he would go shopping for the week. He even included me in his search for his beloved radios and cameras he loved so very much. As we all know, Michael definitely had a ridiculously good eye for antiques. It just truly breaks my heart that he now can't do what he loved most. Michael made every person in his life a top priority, giving everything he had, even when he didn't have it himself. Making people feel loved was just something that was bred into him. He brought the best out of everybody. Not seeing him every day this week has just torn a huge hole in my heart, and we will never forget him. I love you so much, Uncle Mike.
How you follow all that? Thanks everybody for being here. Every single person in here, whether I've seen you in 20 years or yesterday or every day, you meant something to Michael. He had a place for everybody. So I guess I'm just going to tell you, oh, yeah, my voice is going to come back for this. I want to tell you about Mike. Some of you know the work Mike. Some of you know the friend Mike. Some of you know the family Mike. But I want to share with you a brother Mike. All my life, he was my protector. Even though, really, we all know I'm tougher than he is. The Mike I knew was sweet and kind, gentle and soft, even sappy. He got the lip quiver thing from going from Dad, like, quicker than anybody I ever saw, over a Christmas ornament, like, that we got him. Like, it was the, you know, almost the ugly cry. But he would have given me anything. I mean, he would give anything to anybody, but I was his first little sister. Like, there was nothing that I could have asked him for that he wouldn't have gotten for me. He loved to make everybody smile, but especially me. And he was always thinking, like, I know, like, I could see it and I could read his brain. He was thinking about what he could do. I would say something or complain about something, and it would just happen. I mean, it was just, he was incredible. Bella was referring to, if he knew you liked a particular food, he would pick that food up every time he went to the store. Sometimes 3 or 4 boxes of it, or you began to start being careful what you said you liked, because I have 47 boxes of Cheez-Its in my closet. One time we were having dinner and we ran out of ketchup. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever, we don't have ketchup. Ketchup, you get french fries without ketchup. How can you run out of ketchup? So the next day, he shows up with 3 bottles of ketchup, and thereafter, every time he went shopping, they got 2 more bottles of ketchup. So again, if anybody needs Cheez-Its or ketchup, hit me up on the way up. But he never came home from the store without something. Something for me, something for the kids, something for Adam, something for Kristen, so something for the littles. Like, oh, I know Jamie said she liked this kind of beef jerky, whatever it was. There was always his pile that he was going to take home, and then the pile for everybody else. He would give me secret stuff and hide it because they would take all my stuff, but they don't want that. So I usually have to go through the cupboard and there'd be some Andy's candies or something. He's like, they eat all your stuff. So, but also the Mike I knew, he loved old movies, and not classic old movies, 70s, 80s, cheesy movies. Top off the list, we've got Xanadu, Dr. Detroit, Smokey and the Bandit, Cannonball Run type movies. Car Wash, this is what he watched when he wasn't with you guys at work. He also loved to play Disney movies. He would let Lilo and Stitch or Moana, Wreck-It Ralph play over and over again while he was fixing antiques or working on things. He also loved YouTube and would put YouTube on our TV every time he came. Wait, you guys gotta see this. I'm not a YouTube fan. But we got to watch it. We learned a lot about reselling antiques and stuff from his YouTube channels. He liked to watch ghost stories, caught on camera, and stuff about Montana. I know the people closest to me know, but our grand plan in about a year or 2 was to move to the Pacific Northwest. We were going to move to Montana and open up a thrift store, resale, antique, vintage. So everything for the past 2 or 3 years has been working toward that goal. I lost my place, I'm sorry. His phrase was, I'd say, well, because first we wanted to go to Idaho. Idaho's too expensive and too trendy. And then I was looking at Wyoming, and then I found Montana, and we found a certain little town in Montana. We'd find on YouTube videos of people driving through their town, you know, and showing you where you go. So, but he said, I don't care. He said, where you go, I go. I don't have one single memory in my life that doesn't have Mike in it, even if he wasn't there. He spent time in Midwest, away. He lived in Santa Barbara for a while. He lived in North Carolina for a while. And there wasn't a moment of his life there or my life here that we didn't know about, even though we were not close in proximity. When we were on the cross-country trip, taking Emma to college 6 years ago, he knew every second of the trip, whether it was texting or calling or photographs, and he knew, and I'd get a text and say, oh, you're going to come up on this mountain, turn here, because he'd be looking on a map and following it on you know, aerial view of whatever he was doing. So it was, even though he couldn't come with us on that one, he was along for the ride, for sure. I guess I just wanted you to share a little bit of my part of Michael. I'm lost at this moment, and I have to find a different way to live. I don't know how to live without him next to me. But Michael, I love you.
A very well-known philosopher, very famous philosopher, once said, don't be sad because it's over. Be happy because it happened. You all know him as Dr. Seuss. Let's pray. Lord, this was not the plan. Michael was supposed to be here with his friends and family for years and years. But we know it's not up to us. And as hard as it is for this family, please remind them, Michael is home, and he is living the best possible life there is, because it's with you. Lord, you gave him a heart of giving. Let him receive now your peace, your grace, and your love, and may it be for eternity. This we pray in the name of Christ. Amen.
Wow, did he sound like an amazing man. You guys are very lucky to have a brother and uncle like you had there. I wish I would have got to know him personally. This does conclude our services here at the funeral home. What we're going to do now is we're going to be heading to the cemetery, St. George Cemetery, and you're welcome to join us in procession to the cemetery. If you are going to be joining us, we're going to ask you to turn your bright lights on and your four-way flashers to signal that you're in procession with us. The family has asked me, in case you are not planning to go to the cemetery, they have asked to extend their welcome to the Oak Fire Pizza Restaurant for lunch right after the cemetery. So you're welcome to join them there. And that is located right by Walmart and Sam's Club on the corner of Green Bay and Washington. Thank you. Starting at the rear of the chapel, my associate Mike is going to escort you up if you'd like to come past Michael's casket one more time and say goodbye. And that way, and then after that, you're extended to go out to your cars and get ready to go to the cemetery with us. Paul Bears, if you will join us in the lounge, and I'll come get you when we're ready. Okay, again, thank you very much for joining us today.